Alors bonsoir tout le monde,
Good
bienvenue à
evening, everyone. Welcome to this regular and public meeting of the Municipal Council on April the 11th. We will start with the word of order. Dear colleagues, let's have the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, the wisdom to know the difference. Once again, welcome to one and all. I call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum? Obviously, yes. I see everyone is here except Mr. Latang, who is here in virtual. Welcome, Mr. Latang, virtual. We have our people, beautiful people, with us tonight. Thank you for being with us. The next item, conflict of interest, if there's any.
Oui,
No. Yeah. What?
10.3.3 pour moi.
10.3.3 for me.
10,
2.3.3, Monsieur
10,
Latin.
excuse,
10, 10,
10.3.3.
10.3.3
Ouais.
for Monsieur Latin. Thank you. It's noted. And obviously, we'll let you go for a few minutes at that time. Now, adoption of the agenda, a motion to adopt the agenda moved by Mrs. Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. No question. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye. Contrary-minded, say nay. The agenda is adopted as presented. That brings us to item number 7 on the presentation, inquiries, and petitions. We will begin with the presentation by the RCMP, from the RCMP. Good evening, Your Worship, members of Council. Good evening. Welcome. I'm unfortunate 2 weeks ago it was my spouse who had COVID. Now it's me that squeezed her hand. So we have to be in sequestration for five days to read. That's why I'm calling from home. But in 2 weeks, unless something serious happens, I should be there in person. As far as the report is concerned, I want to mention that the superintendent for the city of Moncton spoke to Moncton. He talked about the new visage that we have is 2 years, 2 months, and 9 days today. And we've really had a turnaround of new bloods. We've had 3 recruits from the academy, and this is fantastic. We continue to have many because we have places available. We'll never say no to young people who want to learn. But I was going to talk about it tonight, but in 2 weeks I'll talk again. Every 2 weeks I want to come just for a question of putting a face to a name and that you will recognize them. And among the 33 new ones, there's been 22 who have experiences who have come from other positions elsewhere in Canada. And I continue with the human resources in Fredericton to make sure that we will fill all the positions. Some are leaving, some can fill in the position. The other two things I want to mention, the motorbikes will be coming out shortly. They'll be on the road. Those who ride them, some people are out taking a walk, older people, seniors, and let's respect the stop signs, the lights, and the speed limit signs. So those who are in the road, especially at night and during the day. And last thing is with the majority of COVID restriction lifted, there will be some holidays, some festivities this summer. We know there's a large one, a big one coming up in Dieppe. I can't wait to attend. We'll certainly work, but all our people will be there. We're starting the planning to organize that festivity to make sure that everything will run smoothly. As always, if there's questions on anything, maybe there are things on which we should do some research. I mean, we'll do it.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you
Je
very
vais
much.
commencer avec une
I
première
will
question
start
de
by with the first question.
sur le nombre de
What you're
nouveaux
announcing on the number
employés
of
qui viennent
new
rejoindre
recruits that are joining
l'établissement ici
the
au
detachment
quotidien.
here in
Est-ce que ce n'est
Greater
qu'une
Moncton,
question de
Kodiak.
semaines ou
Does
mois
that bring us closer or further
de
from
qu'il pourrait y avoir
the
plus
number of
d'employés
employees we should have? Because I
ayant
know
quand
that
même des difficultés
we've
avec
had
la
problems,
situation
as you said
de
so well,
recrutement? Est-ce que ça nous amène
with
au
recruitment. Does
fameux
that bring
chiffre
us to the magical figure? I forget,
227
227, I believe, something like that. The famous 147 that we've mentioned several times in the media. Yes, with the work that human resources have done with us here in Dieppe, it's a matter of finding the right persons, but also to have our arms wide open for people who want to come. That's why we took a lot of new ones from the academy in Regina because it's less complicated. They have a graduation date. We have to place them. And when they're bilingual, especially people who are from New Brunswick, well, I jump on it to try and get them as quickly as possible because I like to train new ones because we can show them the best way to work. And also, they're young. They go right ahead. They want to do some good work for the community. Some are arriving and some are leaving, and there's close to 15 in the next few months who have identified positions that have to be filled. It's a long process, but by having that figure, we'll make sure that not only are we here to answer the call, but to and to the,
Alors, merci. Est-ce que des membres du conseil qui auraient
hein?
des questions pour M. Jolette? M. Jon.
Oui,
Merci beaucoup. J'avais une petite
oui,
question. On entend de plus en plus que ça commence, là, les petites voitures modifiées là, au
where we
centre-ville.
start and whatnot.
L'année passée, il y en a eu beaucoup de
Last
questions,
year,
beaucoup de commentaires
there was a
là-dessus.
lot of
Aujourd'hui, ça
questions,
bouge.
comments from
Est-ce que la
the citizens
route
that was
de
wondering
contour
if there would still be
va se
control
faire surtout en soirée?
that will be done,
Est-ce qu'il y a des
especially at night,
changements?
like
Est-ce qu'il y a
last
des choses
night.
qui s'en viennent de ce
And
côté-là?
there is certain things coming up. Well, it worked last year, and we heard what the people wanted to have, and there are operations coming up. I will not mention any days, especially, but that's why in the beginning I said to be careful on the road and make sure that we don't trouble the peace, especially with people who have special uh, muffler car, and we are planning for the forthcoming
Merci.
months.
Autre
Thank you.
question?
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Je vois pas d'autres questions.
I don't
Alors,
see any other questions, so
merci
thank you
de nous rejoindre et bonne
for
chance avec
to
votre
join us and good luck
défi de
with
COVID.
your fight with COVID. Thank you, and you, Mr. Mayor and members of council, have a good meeting. Thank you very much.
Alors,
So
7.2, la présentation
7.2,
sur
we have a
notre site
presentation
web.
on our new
Madame
website.
Duguay et
Mrs. Duguay
Madame Albert
and
qui sont
Mrs.
à la table.
Albert. Mrs. Albert is here. Good evening. It won't be long.
Alors, bonsoir, Monsieur le
Good
maire.
evening, your worship, members of council. I'm happy to be here tonight to present a new website for the municipality that was launched last Thursday. Before we go through the new site with you, I would like to explain the process that we followed to make the site what it is tonight. We hired a firm to help us with that work. It's East Solution Group. What they did, they went through our former website and they looked at the pages that were the most visited, the least visited, what were the keywords that people were seeking. And then we went through all the services of the municipality to see what was in the old website, what didn't work properly, what people wanted to see in the new website. After all that research work was done, each solution proposed the architecture of the new website. Architecture is what we see here, the four main sections with the main pages that are found inside these sections. So this was approved by the directors. Afterwards, we made a few minor changes. The head of each department approved it. Then we went to the public. We gave the opportunity to the public and all the employees of the municipality to participate in the process. There were some tasks to be done where we asked the people to go find information in the new architecture. For instance, we would say, find the public work, and they would say, the agenda of the public work are in the following pages. They did that, and that gave us a lot of information to see if our new structure was working or not. Then we made a few minor adjustments, and that gave us the structure that we have today with four main sections and the pages under each section. So afterwards, we did the drafting or the writing each solution and work in the design of the new website. What it looks like today, what we were looking for is to show what is the mission of the municipality, what is said web that was welcoming, modern, dynamic, but represented also eco-responsibility of the municipality. We wanted it to be shown in the color, eco-solution work in that sense to get the final product that we see on the screen. I can go through the different main section if you wish. Here we have the headline of the page where we find the website, the menu A to Z, employment, and how to join us. Then we have the navigation French and English, and this is new. But the menu I wish is so that people can easily find what was being seen the most. They find themselves in these sections like the medal for dogs. That's something that the people were looking for a lot in the old website. Now they can, all they have to do is click on the welcoming page and they find it. We have four main sections: explore, have fun, city hall for each of these sections, what we call the main pages. Oh, afterwards, we have the research engine. It's quite important today because people use this a lot to search by keywords. The research is supplied by Google, Google Site Search. That's something people are used to work with. So it's something new in the website. Before we had another engine that was slightly different. Then we have what we call the backend banner. There are the images that we see to welcome the people on the new website. And then we have the main contraction. These are some of the things that were searched by the residents, or they were part and parcel, like immigration, for instance. They were part of our strategic plan for the municipality that we wanted to put forward. These are elements that are static in nature, they will remain in time. But this is what came out as what was the most search that we wanted to put forward. There's a whole question of the news. Each time we send an info letter to the residents, it will be found on the welcoming page in this section of the news, and we invite the people to subscribe. And all they need is to click on see more, subscribe, and they won't miss anything, garbage collection, anything that is happening in the municipality. We always found, yes, we have the social media, but on Facebook, we can only write a few things. It's always important to subscribe to the roulette because then we put a lot more details, a lot more information. So it's a good source of information for the residents. And then we have call to action. These are not static, they're dynamic. It means we will change them throughout the time. If a festival is happening in the municipality and we want to put it forward, we'll put it on one of these headlines. This will move from week to week. And if I go lower, we have the new community calendar. So it is in this calendar that we put all the activities that are happening in the municipality and a non-profit organization. We have the opportunity to post their activities in here. They have a small form to fill with the details of their events, and it can be found on our website. That way, it's something new that we offer with the website. And if I continue, we have the section of social media. Today, we know that this is being used a lot by the residents, so we wanted to put them ahead on the welcome page with the Instagram. And here we have the lower page that contains the basic information that we find in most websites with our contact policy of confidentiality and so on and so forth. So this goes around the new website for me. I don't know if you have any questions for me. Questions from the counselors.
Madame Leboutier.
Mr. Boudier, thank you,
Merci,
Worship.
la
Thank
présentation.
you, presentation.
C'est
My
quoi
question is
lorsque
when
une association veut
an
justement
association
mettre leur activité dans notre calendrier,
want to
quels
put
seront
their activity in a
les délais
calendar,
maximum
what is the minimum and maximum
possible?
time that is required? We ask that they put their event at least 4 weeks ahead of time. This give us the time to look at the content, translate it because the website is bilingual, obviously, and it gives the chance to the events to live on the website. We want the residents to have a chance to see it also. So we ask a minimum of 4 weeks ahead of time.
Merci beaucoup.
C'est tout?
Thank you. That's it.
Quelqu'un d'autre?
Anyone else?
Madame Godbout.
Ms. Godbout?
Est-ce qu'il y a
Thank
des
you.
fonctionnalités au niveau de accessibilité ou des choses que vous avez regardées en
As
particulier?
far as accessibility, is there something special you'd like to comment on? Yeah, the website is
Donc,
accessible.
pour expliquer un peu qu'est-ce
To
que
explain a
l'accessibilité,
little
c'est
bit what is
vraiment
the
qu'on aide
accessibility,
les
it's work that
personnes
we do behind the
dans
scene,
l'encodage de nos pages,
the coding of our
leur
pages. For
expliquer
instance, when we
l'étape
have
par étape
charts, we put
différentes
the titles to these
procédures
tables with a screen reader
pour les personnes
will
qui ont des
read. For the
difficultés
people who have
visuelles. Ils vont voir
problems, visual problems, they will recognize
on
it's
va
a
les ranger d'une
chart
certaine façon.
and the column
Le screen
are
reader va
put in
aussi
such a way the screen leader will read
des
the
choses
text
en gras, des choses
properly.
en
We
italique,
put it in the
des
italic
descriptions de chacune de nos
in the
pages.
heavy
Par exemple,
module.
sur la page d'accueil, ça peut être
On the
un
welcoming
petit
page, it can be a child that's playing, who is playing in the park.
exposé
So
des
there's a
choses.
description for each one of
C'est
the
ça.
image.
C'est aussi qu'on
And we have
les
small that
contrastes,
we use. The
les
contrast
nuancer en
also
fonction de
are all
l'accessibilité.
positioned according to the activity. Thank you.
Merci. Je vois pas
Welcome.
d'autres
I don't see
questions.
any other questions.
Alors, merci pour la
Thank you for
présentation.
the presentation.
Et puis,
And
je sais que la semaine passée, j'ai passé
I know last
beaucoup de
week
mon temps
I
à
spent most of
présenter
my time while I was
à la Ville
presenting
de Québec sur le
to the
numérique,
city of
un
Dieppe
acte
on
entre
the
les
digital
citoyens et le numérique.
and the
Et
digital and us.
j'espère que vous avez eu plusieurs
I
aussi
hope that
hier,
you had
depuis
several
vendredi
click
aussi,
yesterday or since
ici
Thursday that
au
came
Québec.
from
Déjà,
Quebec.
je pense que
And I think
quand on
that
se compare, on se console.
sometimes when we can compare, we
Dans une
console
ville
ourselves.
comme
And when we compare
Dieppe,
with a big city like the city of
je
Quebec,
dois dire qu'ils
I must
sont
say that
quand même pas mal loin en arrière de nous autres
they
aussi
are
pour la
quite behind us when
décentralisation.
it comes to
Est-ce qu'on
the
peut passer
question of digital. It's a message to
des
send
TI
to our
de
IT
l'avance
people
qu'on
the
veut
advance that we have, and it's
Merci.
something we want to keep. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Alors, prochaine
Next item,
sujet, question du public
question from
ou
the public,
peut-être même présentation
maybe
d'un
even
event ou pétition.
presentation of information or petition. Your worship, councillors, members of management, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you to ask a question about the soccer field on the Mathieu Martin site and Wallace McLaughlin. I live on Alfie Street in Ward 1. Before I ask that question, here is, in a short way, the pertinent information about the issue. The main issue that was received from the city of Dieppe at the end of March is the installation of a synthetic surface at Mathieu Martin and to cover it football and soccer field. It's important to precise that we agree with that project. However, during the work period, the notice received mentioned that there will be heavy trucks will be in the ward and there will be a contingency to control the speed of these trucks and also to keep the site clean and safe during the construction. On the other hand, they ask our indulgence for the noise that will be present during construction. The project will start on May the 2nd to finish in August. We are told the schedule is 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 at night, Monday to Friday, and also there is a possibility of nights and weekend. Your worship, before with such a schedule, our ward is part of the construction site. It's quite something that we are asking quite a season to sacrifice. We look for a solution. Here's a question. Can we count on your council, on the municipal council, for a further study be done as soon as possible to keep in mind the safety of the residents while reducing the impact in the ward? We would like to receive an answer of the study. If the study is underway, if we could have more details tonight. Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you.
L'étude est encore en cours, il n'y a pas de
Study is
décision.
still underway. It's not completed. There's a lot of work that
Depuis les premières
has been
informations
done
qu'on
since the
a reçues
first
des étudiants,
intervention that we
évidemment,
received from all of you.
on est content de voir que notre
First of all, we're
système
happy to see that our
de
system
communication
of
travaille comme c'est
communication
supposé
is
parce que
working
les gens viennent nous
as it
voir,
should
le
because
travail a
people come to
commencé,
see us. The
puis
work
ah, ben, j'ai pas eu de
has
nouvelles,
started. I didn't
puis
see it go
c'est
by
correct,
and
on s'est
nobody
parlé
talk about
vendredi,
it.
alors au moins
Nobody
on a
mentioned it. At least we're happy
sur le
that
premier point que
first of all,
la communication s'est bien
the
faite.
communication was well done.
Le travail a
The
été
work
déclaré
to
à sa fin.
be done is almost
Ça serait
completed, and
peut-être
I
d'avoir
think
une
it's a
réunion
question of having
avec les
a
citoyens.
meeting with the
Monsieur
citizen.
Melançon, peut-être tu peux
Mr. Melanson, maybe you
parler
can
de ça.
explain more. Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Monsieur McLaughlin. Yes, we are completing the analysis of all the comments, the elements that the people have come out with, you and other people from the ward. We're planning a meeting for the neighborhood next week. If you are the direct person to contact, we'll send a notice to everybody to bring comments the Wednesday, 21st or 22nd, 20 or 21st of April to explain what has been put forward and the option that is still recommended to have discussions with the people from the neighborhood. Your worship, when details. Yes, the information, I don't think. The councillor, if you said this and it's addressed locally, here, I saw this, uh, I saw this and I threw it out. It didn't really give the details, but calling the manager of the city, the details, we found it well. As I summarized, as I said, the word, I don't know how many trucks we didn't know of that. Yes, the message was presented, but no details was given. If I depended on this, I thought there's no problem. It's not going through us. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, thank you for the additional information. So often we receive a comment, especially when there's a heavy construction. People come to us, and the work has already started, and they say we didn't hear about it, and that's what I meant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship, Councillor, members of the staff, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you tonight to ask a question. I'm Dino Turgeon. I live also on Elfie Street, such as my neighbor Maurice mentioned. We all agree with the soccer field and the football field with a superficial surface. However, on behalf of the citizen of Ward 1 of Dieppe, I want to officially file this petition that was a petition that was given to you last Monday. On the it was signed by more than 80% of the residents of the Ville and streets that are directly affected by the construction to undergo this work. There's a lot of citizens that are affected, a total of 95 signatures, 58 residents. So if I may, I'd like to read the petition. Certainly, Your Worship, members of Council of the City of Dieppe, we the residents of Ward 1, Ward Ville Dieppe, we present a petition about Alpha Eric Bilivo to make the construction of a new synthetic field. Here are the reason for this petition. First of all, the health and safety of the residents. Secondly, the pollution, such as dust, diesel, noise, or heavy trucks that will affect the quality of life from 7 a.m. 7 p.m. The traffic of heavy trucks in the different from College Street up to the entrance on Alpha Street, affecting the safety of all the residents. The children of Medium Martin and Carrefour de l'Acadie will be exposed to the daily traffic on a daily basis and risk of accidents since they won't be able to use the trail. What we understand is the trail is supposed to be closed for the duration of the project. So the students will have to go down once again Bellevue Street to go in front of the college to make it to Carrefour and Mujimata, and they will meet there again some trucks in the same curve because we have to say there's no sidewalks. The tree cutting will be abundant behind the residence, leading to the synthetic field. We are asking the mayor and the members of council want to consider use another option of road to do those work. I've said it to you last week. It's where we suggest to go behind the community college that would not affect the citizens that either to use the access road behind the community college or to do the job from Majumata when the school season will be completed. That is our petition. I would like to present this petition. Julie, if you would please accept it. That's it. And my question is, Your Worship, why is it necessary to use the college, Béliveau, and Alfred to undertake construction work when there seems to have other options that are safer and the children will have less pollution, less circulation of heavy trucks and would not affect the citizens of the ward? That's my question. Thank you. The only thing I can say is the staff will examine it, all the options that are possible and will come with a recommendation to the municipal council. But first of all, a consultation with all of you, as it was said, Wednesday or Thursday of next week. It's not up to make a decision tonight. No, that's not. But we wanted to take the time to receive your presentations, your complaints, and to make sure that they are well addressed. It's been started to be addressed because you've talked a lot with Jason, spoke with the staff. Yes, but we want to give them a chance to do their job before we come to a solution that will be the best solution for all the citizens of the city of Dieppe. And I think that our ward, the whole ward, doesn't want to use the streets to do some building work, construction work. I talk for the neighbors. It's important to listen carefully and to see that we don't affect the citizens. I think that the message is well heard, well received, well understood, and we will leave the staff to their job and bring a resolution that we hope will be as feasible as possible with the least bit of impact on the community. Thank you. Thank you. Now, item number 8, question from the public. I will tell you, you can stay if you want and spend the evening with us. We'd be happy to have you with us. But if you decide to leave and you have maybe you pick up some receivers, please return them. If not, good evening. So, question for the public. Somebody from outside came. Mike, sorry. Shishima, your worship. Yes, we received a question from the public. Mr. Giovanni, he's asking the following question. Wants to know if Dieppe has implemented or will implement concerning the pollution by noise. It is ever increasing. He talked about amended cars that go by late at night. The only thing the planes are going by at 2 in the morning. He wants to amend the road of the planes as it was done in Norfolk City to stop the planes from going by over the between 3 and 6 in the morning. There's a question. The noise by the cars and the planes. You'll take care. We'll do follow up, but maybe the airport committee, if I remember, Councillor Brito sit on that committee. Maybe you could share the concern with that committee. Thank you. And well, make sure to answer Giovanni. 9.1.
plutôt
I'm
9,
sorry. 9.
adoption du procès verbal pour la
Adoption of
garde
the minutes for the last meeting.
motion proposée par Madame
Motion moved by
Boudreau,
Mrs. Boudreau,
appuyée par Madame
seconded by
Turgeon-Roy,
Mrs. Turgeon, that we
le procès verbal tel qu'il
adopt
nous
the
a été
minutes
présenté.
as it was
Est-ce qu'il y a des
presented
questions
to
sur le
us.
procès
Any
verbal?
question on the minute?
Aucune question.
No
Ceux qui sont en
questions.
faveur de
All those in
l'adoption
favor say aye.
de l'avis
Contrary
contraire, non.
minded, nay.
Alors, le procès verbal de la
So the
réunion
minutes
du
for the
mardi
last
10
meeting of March the 28th,
2022 est accepté. Merci à vous.
2022 is adopted as presented.
Item 10,
Item
10.1,
10,
développement
10.1,
communautaire.
community
Monsieur
development.
Melançon.
Monsieur Melanson,
Oui, comme premier dossier, Monsieur le maire, vous
first
le
file,
savez, vous
Your
avez
worship,
une
members of
recommandation
council, you have in
d'étendre
front of you a
l'extension du
recommendation
service de
to
navigation
extend
d'agrément de
the
M. Richard.
with Mr.
Son
Maurice
contrat
Richard,
s'est
his
terminé en
contract ended at the end
2023
of May
et
2022,
la justification du
and the
prolongement de
justification to
l'extension est parce
extend
que
for a few
le
months until the end of
financement
2022 is that
nécessaire est
we
complété
are
et que
completing the
par
pilot project
conséquent,
on
vous
the
demandez
on-demand
encore les analyses
transportation. We're asking the
pour
analysis at the end of the year, so
le
we want to
processus
make
nécessaire de
coincide this
de
and the contract at the same time when we have a final report on the
de poursuivre jusqu'en
recommendation to
2020
go on till December 31st, 2022, and it allow us
encore
to
une fois.
complete the on-demand
Merci pour la lecture de la
project. For the
résolution.
reading of the resolution,
Madame Turgeon-Roy.
Mr. Jean Roy,
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
thank your worship,
Que le conseil
that the council
appuie l'extension du
authorize
contrat de
the
service de
extension of the
navigation
service
avec
contract
notre fournisseur
of
Monsieur
the
Richard
van
jusqu'au
with the
31
supplier
décembre
of Mr. Richard until December 31st, 2022. I moved by
Madame
Councillor
Turgeon-Roy a-t-elle des
Jean Roy,
questions?
seconded by
Conseillère Boudreau sur la
Councillor
question.
Boudreau on the question.
Sur la question, Madame
On the
Godbout.
question, Ms. Godbout.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Thank
Je
you,
suis
worship.
totalement en faveur de la résolution.
I
J'avais une
agree
question
with the
aussi.
resolution, but I have a
Le
question
contrat
for,
qui
I
se
know it's a
renouvelle
contract that is
c'est
renewed with the same condition.
le prolonger avec une ligne.
We will extend with the same condition, but
On avait eu des
am
questions
I wrong
au
that
niveau de
there were questions asked,
l'inclusion des différentes
the
demandes
inclusion or different
d'accès
demands that we have as far as the access? Did we look at the possibility and to see if there's something we could change in the contract to improve that
Monsieur
inclusion?
Richard,
Monsieur
moi,
Richard,
j'y ai pas
that
accès.
mic,
Alors,
I don't have access to that
c'est
mic.
Monsieur juste en avant, Luc Richard.
Luc Richard,
Luc.
Oui, sur la question d'inclusion,
on the question of
vous savez,
inclusion,
depuis
as you
décembre, on
know,
fait l'achat d'un
since
camion
December, we
transport
purchased a minibus of 11 passengers when we have
en soirée,
transportation on requests at
ce
night
véhicule-là
and on
doit
weekend. That's the vehicle that
ramener
is in operation,
quelconque
unless for breakdown, mechanical breakdown, or something exceptional. It's a 6 passenger van
là, on n'a pas
that
de
is
solution
used.
pour
But
l'utiliser.
nevertheless, we still have an option for the
Pour
clients
avoir la mobilité
who need
possiblement en achetant une
transportation.
alternative pour ces
We
gens-là.
have an alternative for these
Ça,
people
c'est
if
pas
need
nécessairement
be.
dans le contrat qu'on
This
fait,
is
c'est
not
juste qu'on va
necessarily
fournir le véhicule.
we supply the vehicle with the
S'il faut
transportation request,
remplacer
but it's something we
un
look at
gros autobus,
with the
ça
purchase
va
of
être
the
une
new
flotte qui
bus.
sera complètement plus accessible.
It's a fleet
Ça,
that
c'est
will
la
be
première
more
chose.
accessible.
Si on poursuit dans cette même ligne.
Merci.
Thank you.
Merci bien. Autre
Thank
question?
you. Any other question?
S'il n'y a pas d'autres questions,
If not,
ceux qui sont en faveur de la
all
résolution
those in
signifient par
favor
oui.
say aye.
De l'avis contraire par un non.
Contrary minded say
La
nay.
résolution est adoptée telle que présentée.
Carried as presented.
Au 10.1.2,
10.1.2,
Monsieur Melançon.
Monsieur
Il y
Melanson.
a une
So,
initiative de
following an initiative by the Association of the Francophone
des
uh,
municipales municipalités qui ont
Association of
désigné
Municipality
une présentation
that
à la ville de
has Ami
Parlement
Designé
premier ici devant le conseil
Political World
de
made a
stratégie
presentation
politique et
for a
stratégique.
committee of policies and strategy. You have in front of you a request to accept the mandate that is an appendix that will give a reference document on the operation of the committee. And in the memorandum, you have the step to follow. The name of the people who will sit on the committee tonight is to ask you to adopt the mandate for that initiative by the
Pour la lecture
AFMNB
de la
for the
résolution,
reading of the
Monsieur
resolution.
Rideau.
Monsieur Brideau,
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
thank you, Your Worship,
Alors que le Conseil
that
accepte
Council
votre
accept the
élection
mandate Attached to the memorandum dated March 31st, 2022, even the creation of an advisory committee for a new structure of the Amis des Années program, moved by Councilor Brito, seconded by Councilor Boutillier. On the question. No question. All those in favor say aye.
Oui.
And reminded say nay. Carried as presented. 10.1.3 exemption on policy L1, Monsieur Melanson. Well, we have a policy that established the clarification as to our municipal installation. It is recommended to offer at my Bezo from June the 2nd to 5th September, and we want to extend this for the 70th anniversary of the municipality of Dieppe. It is recommended by the staff for the reading of the resolution, Ms. Boudreau.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Que le Conseil autorise
That
une
Council
extension
authorized an
sur le
exemption in the policy
memorandum
L-1
intitulé
2022
Clarification des
entitled
installations
Clarification of the
municipales
Installation
afin
in
d'ouvrir
Municipal
l'accès
Spaces to
gratuitement
offer
à la
free entrance
navigation
to
de la
Duado
cité de
House
citoyenneté
during the
initiatique,
summer season
soit du
2022,
jeudi 2
namely
février
from
au
Thursday,
vendredi
June the
5
2nd to
septembre
Monday, September the
2022,
5th, 2022,
suivant les règles.
inclusively. I so move. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. Other question? Oh, question, Monsieur Thibodeau.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Your Worship.
La question, c'est à la
My
page
question
36, on
on
parle
page
de
36,
aucune
we
réservation
talk
nécessaire auparavant.
no
On avait toujours
reservation necessary.
toujours fait une
Before, we
réservation.
always had to make a
Est-ce
reservation.
que,
Uh,
dans ce cas-là, est-ce que nous avons assez de tablettes
do
pour
we have
accueillir les
enough
gens en même
tablet
temps? Est-ce
to
que
receive
ces tablettes-là se fait
a
avec
large
l'aide
number of people at the
de
same
la
time?
technologie?
Alors, Monsieur le maire, Madame
Your
Cormier
Worship,
est
Mrs. Cormier
virtuel.
is virtual.
Madame Cormier,
Mrs. Cormier
virtuel.
in virtual.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Good evening.
Oui, on a
Yes,
assez de
sir.
tablette parce qu'on peut juste avoir
We
six
have
personnes
enough
en
tablet. We
physique,
can
plus de
only
personnes.
have
Donc,
six person at the same
on est
time, and we
ensemble.
have 30
Fait que,
tablet.
on est dans la tablette, on est
So
correct avec ça.
we are
C'est
okay
juste
with
pas les
that.
gens qui prennent
And
des
also,
photos
it's not
ou qui
everybody
sont
that
comme
take a
virtuellement.
tablet. They like
On
to
est correct.
read directly, so we don't have any problems.
Et
Thank you.
le maximum de 6, je présume,
The
c'est à
maximum
cause
of
de
six
situation COVID.
is because of the
Pas
COVID
6, non. 6 à
situation.
6.
No, no,
Le
no.
chiffre magique.
That's
C'est
the
pour
magical
les
figure.
incendies.
No, it has to
Les
do with the
incendies, puis
fire
les feux
marshal, as to the number of person
pour monter
that
les
can
escaliers
be
puis avoir
held at the
six
same time in the same
six
room. It
personnes
can be more than
dessus
seven.
qui montent avec les autres.
6 person and the person who accompanied them has nothing to do with COVID.
Ok, merci.
Thank you.
Question, Madame Godbout.
Ms. Godbout,
Merci, Monsieur le
question.
maire.
Thank you, Worship.
Je note qu'on a dans le
Jeanette,
passé, on avait utilisé la
in the
possibilité de
past,
faire
we
des
used
dons
the
lorsqu'on ouvre
possibility
la
of
porte
making donation when we
avec une entrée
exit
gratuite
the
de
door
10 €
to have a
pour les
free
participants.
entrance. I like the
Ça,
idea,
on mentionne
but
dans
sometimes
les
we
recommandations que ça pourrait faire
mention in the recommendation
balance pour
that it
les
could be
poches de maire. Également,
counterbalanced
est-ce qu'on a regardé
for the
aussi
revenue,
que
the
ces
income.
fonds-là
Did
pourraient
we look
être
at it,
recueillis pour une
that these
certaine
funds could be collected for a
association
specific
de patients?
charity?
Avez-vous regardé
Something
ça
we
aussi?
could do from time to time.
Oui,
Did you
on
look
regarde
at that
aussi pour
possibility? Yes, we look,
aider pour
especially
parce qu'il y a de
to
plus en plus
help
de gens qui utilisent
pro
les
youth
organismes.
because a
Puis
lot
il
of
y a des
people
associations qu'on regarde
use the
pour
pro youth
des dons.
On va
projects,
regarder, en tout cas,
and we
suivre cette
I
option-là.
encourage you to continue in that
Merci.
sense.
Question,
Thank
Madame
you.
Cloutier.
Mr. Boutier,
Merci,
question.
Monsieur le maire. C'est
Yes,
concernant
Your Worship.
les
It has
réservations.
to do with the reservation.
Derrière, on annule
The
les
idea
réservations parce
that
que
we
si six
cancel
personnes
the
peuvent seulement aller,
if
en
six
même temps
only
que
six persons
on
can go, and you
réunit
said it takes an hour and a
ces
half.
gens-là
We arrive, there's 10 of us. I don't know.
qu'est-ce qui va, comme point de vue d'accueil de nos clients, qui
Reception wise,
longue période,
what will it be like for the people that have to
C'est
wait
qu'on
such
prend
a long
six
time?
personnes à la
We
fois
can take
ensemble.
six
Puis
persons in one
dès
group.
qu'on annonce
Once that
ferme
group
les portes de la salle,
has
on envoie
started and is gone, we can take another six, so we have four youth that will work. We can go up to 24
personnes.
persons at the same time.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bien. Autre question?
Other questions?
S'il n'y a pas d'autres questions, ceux qui sont en faveur
If
probablement
not,
des
all those
discussions
in
qui ont eu
favor,
lieu
say aye.
de la
Oui.
dernière
Contrary
probablement.
minded, nay.
La résolution est acceptée telle que présentée.
Carried as presented.
10.2 du côté des opérations,
10.2,
10.2 pour
Operation,
l'adoption de
10.2.1,
l'utilisation des
Adoption
données.
Policy
Monsieur Mélenchon.
Z4. Monsieur
Ici,
Melanson.
on a une politique sur
Well,
le
here
marché
we have a
municipaux
policy on the sale of municipal
depuis
property.
2021. C'est en
It's
règle.
been in
On
existence
compte
since
le définir au fur et à mesure,
July.
mais on a
We
pris certaines
plan
situations. Alors,
to
c'est sûr
use it
qu'avec deux
as we go along tonight.
extensions
Two
d'extension
amendments
personnelle,
are put forward
le
by
premier,
the
c'est
staff. The first
d'éliminer le
one
dépôt de
is to
2 000 $
eliminate
avec
the deposit of
l'employeur qui
$2,000
avait
since the city of Dieppe has used the value of
passé 17
the municipality fund
évaluations
on the
foncières.
New
Alors,
Brunswick
le personnel
site
ça
for
semble être
the taxes,
équivalent à ce qu'il a
real estate
demandé.
taxes, and it seems to be
L'autre
equivalent to
élément,
the real
c'est
value. The other
c'est
thing
au
that has changed is
niveau
the delay of
de
90
procéder à la
days to proceed
restitution de
the
l'assignation
purchase of the property following the
municipale.
acceptance that will go
Ça, c'est
through
des
municipal
éléments qui
council. These are two
pourraient
elements
améliorer la
that could
procédure de
improve
vérification au niveau des
the
projets
process
si un autre
for a
entité
project.
parle
If an
aussi
entity, if
et
somebody wants
si elle est
to
disponible, ça
purchase
peut être
municipal property, if it's
c'est ça la modification
available,
qui est proposée là.
that's the amendment that is being proposed
J'espère
to the
que
policy.
ce soit
It's
compris.
for your support tonight.
Merci pour
Thank
la
you
lecture de la
for the reading
résolution,
of the
Monsieur
resolution.
Boutier.
Mr. Boudier,
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Que le Conseil
you wish
municipal
the
élimine
council
les Z-4 ainsi que les
uh,
autres projets municipaux et adopte le
eliminate the
nouveau policy
policy
Z4
Z4 and adopt the new one
vente de terrain municipal.
Z4 2022 entitled uh,
Merci.
new municipal property, sales of new
Motion
municipal
proposée par
property. Thank you. Moved by
Councilleur
Councillor
Boutier, appuyé par
Debouty, seconded
le
by
conseiller Thibodeau sur la
Councillor
question.
Thibodeau. On the question.
Sur la question, Madame
On the
Godbout.
question, Ms. Godbout.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Your worship.
Moi, pour cette résolution, moi,
Well, for this resolution, I would table it for
je
the
vais vous
time
donner
being,
pourquoi.
and I will tell you why.
Il me semble que c'est
It
basé sur l'expérience
seems
que j'ai eue
that based on the
dans
experience that I've had in my career,
l'impôt foncier, le système des services
the
New-Brunswick
system of
avait
New
promis
Brunswick
un système juste pour les impôts
plan
fonciers.
was
J'ai pas de misère avec ça, ça
they
fonctionne.
plan to have a
Mais si
fair
on regarde
system.
comment est-ce qu'on
I have
évalue
no problem. But if we look at how we
c'est
evaluate
basé sur une
the
valeur
municipal property, they base
présente.
on the
Si on
value
regarde, par
for
exemple, le
the
terrain
time
de
being. If we
soccer
look
sur la
at
rue
the soccer
Dieppe, c'est un
uh,
rectangle de 3 mètres très haut, très grand,
field,
je sais pas combien de maisons.
it's wide. We
Mais si on
can put
regarde
how many
l'évaluation
rows. If we look at the
de services
evaluation
aujourd'hui,
by
c'est
Service
à
New
peu près
Brunswick
67
today,
000.
$67,000
Si
is the
on doit
value.
vendre
All of a
ce
sudden, if we
terrain
have to sell
à
part of
quelqu'un
it
avec un autre gars, avec
to
un
give it to
projet,
somebody else to have a huge
aujourd'hui, la
project, and
valeur
we
des
use the
services
value
aujourd'hui
that Service New Brunswick
correspond à une
is
valeur de
giving it,
66
we're
000
going to value of $67,000
beaucoup, beaucoup
for a
plus.
property that is
Pour
worth
moi, le
a lot
service
more.
Nouveau-Brunswick est
How
fier
can a service of
de
Service New
s'appuyer sur la
Brunswick
valeur des services d'aujourd'hui du
worthwhile?
terrain
I mean,
et
is
que
it?
ce soit une
It's not
utilisation
according to the
pour
value
l'habitation.
for today,
Pour moi,
but it's for a community
si
use and
la
not
vente de terrain ici,
the sale of
quand ce
land.
terrain-là va
Pretend
changer de
that that
mandé d'utilisation
property will change
et
the
sa valeur
mandate
va
and
être
the use, and the
reconsidérée
value will be reconsidered
dans certaines situations par
in
Service
a different
Nouveau-Brunswick
way by
lorsqu'il
Service New
utilise cette
Brunswick
property.
when it
Pour
is
moi,
sold.
la base n'est pas
So
la bonne parce
the
que
bar is
à tout
not
moment, il pense que
the
nous
right
allons
one.
acheter
Yes, it's
et
good
nous allons
when we
louer
owned it and
et petit
when
à petit, on va la vendre et ça
we
ne
use
représente pas
it,
sa
but the
valeur
person to
marchande.
whom we sell it does not
Alors,
represent
pour
the
moi,
sale
c'est pas
value.
comparable,
So
c'est
for
pas
me, that is
équitable,
the
c'est ce
good
qu'on essaie de faire.
volume.
Il
I
faut qu'on regarde
like
aussi
what
la
we're
valeur
trying
des
to do,
terres
but we
et
have
la
to look
valeur
at
du
a
service
different way of
Nouveau-Brunswick. Il y a
doing it.
certains coûts qui
And the
existent
service of Service New
qui
Brunswick
peuvent
can
être
be
tolérés.
good, but
Mais
as
ça,
the
je pense que
basis, I don't
la
find
mesure à laquelle on
that
devrait
is the
utiliser,
measure
c'est
that
pas
we should
ne
use
reflète pas la
because
valeur
it does
marchande
not
et le
reflect
contexte de comment le
the
terrain se
context
présente
in
va être
which
utilisé.
it will be used.
Fait que moi, je pense que on peut
I
pas revenir
think
avec quelque chose. Il faut
we can
regarder ça
come
de
back with something. We have to
comment
look at it,
les
unless I
employés
misunderstood,
utilisent
and the
notre système
employee
foncier.
tell me that I misunderstood how the
Alors, est-ce qu'il y a
system
quelqu'un
is
qui suit que la
functioning. If
résolution
somebody support that, it'd be
établie
tabled. If so, say so.
appuyée par la proposition
Support.
établie est appuyée par la
It's
conseillère
support by
Boutier.
Councillor Boutier.
Alors,
So,
qui en avait fait la lecture, d'ailleurs.
who read it?
Ah, vous aviez une question aussi.
And you have a question?
On va peut-être passer à la question
Maybe we'll go to
avant
the
de
question
passer
before we go
à la
to the
résolution
vote.
pour tabler.
The vote
Peut-être
to
qu'il y aurait un peu
table.
d'éclairage.
Ben moi, j'avais deux
Well,
choses sur
two things of this.
motion-là. Et puis, c'est exactement qu'est-ce que
Is
la
exactly
conseillère
what Counselor
a mentionné. C'était,
Godbout
je
mentioned.
voulais avoir une explication.
I wanted to have an
Pourquoi aller
explanation.
chercher justement
Why
la valeur de
are
cette
we going to
propriété-là?
get the value of that
C'est très
property
bien
from the
ici dans
province
ma
when we know
dessous.
that normally?
Et puis l'autre chose, c'est
And
lorsqu'on
the
a
other
fait
thing
cet
is
arrêté,
when we
on avait la
put
question de
forward
2000
that bylaw
pour
question of
revenir au système
$2,000,
officiel
there was
parce
an
que
efficiency of the
les
system.
employés étaient
A lot of our
une
employees
grosse
were
perte de temps. Puis si
requested there was a
les
waste of
employés
time and it was not
essayaient
really interested
d'acheter, ils voulaient juste
in buying it.
justement voir s'il y avait.
So they
Puis je me
wanted to
demandais
know.
aussi
So
sur le 2000, mais
I was wondering
vous me
under
confirmerez,
20,000 to
est-ce qu'il y
2,000,
aurait
why
peut-être
remove it
un
completely?
minimum
Should it not be a
discrétion
minimum amount?
et
What would be reasonable
pour une
instead
raison
of
pourquoi on
going
avait mis
from
ça
one
dans
extreme to
le
the other? There was a reason why we
ces deux
put
points,
that
j'aurais
the
aimé
year
avoir
before.
plus
These are the
d'informations.
2 points on which I'd like to have more details.
C'est des
Monsieur
réductions.
Borg, do you have explanation?
Ben, j'ajouterais que le
Well, I
deux
would
mille
add
dollars
that the
était
two
en
thousand dollars, the intention was to pay
disons, Babino Appraisal qu'on utilise
Babino
souvent
appraisal
pour
that we
évaluer les
use
propriétés.
regularly to
On a remarqué
appraise
aussi
the
que
property, but
la
we
récente
noticed
qu'on a
the last
effectuée,
evaluation that we
que le résultat qu'on
did, the
recevait
result that we were
d'une
receiving,
évaluation privée
the private
ressemblait
evaluation,
vraiment à ce
looked
qui avait été
strangely
d'indiqué
to
sur le
what
résultat.
was indicated by Service New Brunswick.
Finalement, c'était un peu
So
pour dire
finally, it was
on
to say
on n'a pas à dépenser ce
if
2000
we don't have to
pour
spend that
pour une
$2,000
évaluation privée, puis ça fait
to
longtemps
have a private
ça nous fait penser
assessment,
de dire que
and it looks
le
like that.
dépôt ne serait pas
Well,
nécessairement
it would
demandé.
to say that
Mais
the
si on
deposit would
voit
not be
que
requested, but if we
quelque
see
part il y a une grosse
that somewhere
différence
there
entre
is a large
on n'est pas
difference,
d'accord avec
well, we would
l'évaluation
not agree with the evaluation by Service New
à ce
Brunswick.
moment-là, on
We
fait
will, at
des
that time,
évaluations
require
privées.
a private assessment.
Les discussions qu'on a eues,
These are the discussions we've had.
je ne sais pas si ça clarifie,
I don't know if it
mais on
clarifies,
peut
or
vous amener des
maybe we
exemples
could bring you example
qui
that
viennent
would
appuyer ce que je viens de dire.
support what I just said.
OK, merci.
Thank you.
D'autres questions?
Any further question?
Vous appuyez toujours la résolution.
You still support the resolution?
Ben, moi, principalement,
De tabler
j'aimerais qu'on regarde, qu'on ait peut-être une
C'est ça.
étude plus
Alors,
approfondie.
Well,
Ça nous revient, là.
OK, c'est bien.
and that
Alors,
will come back.
vous avez
Okay,
compris
you understood
la question
the
et
question, and
essentiellement
essentially
retirer la résolution.
withdraw the
Il faut un
resolution.
vote majoritaire pour
We
cela.
need a
Alors, ceux qui
majority
sont en
vote.
faveur
All those in favor
de la
of the
résolution, s'il vous plaît,
withdrawal,
dire oui.
say aye.
Oui.
Ou ceux qui sont contre,
Those
dire non.
against, nay.
Alors, de toute évidence,
Obviously,
les
yes,
votes
carry,
pour
and we'll
voir ça
withdraw it
encore.
to look at
Merci à
it
tous.
a second time. Thank you.
Nous
Well,
arrivons
now that
maintenant
brings us
au
now to
thème
item
10.3 concernant la
10.3
planification du
concerning
développement. Monsieur Melançon, vous avez la
planning and
parole, s'il vous plaît.
development.
Alors,
The
suite
pack
à la
10
recommandation du comité
following the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee
modificateur du lotissement
on
communal
the
métropolitain,
modifier plan for
le
the
comité
metropolitan
recommande
village, the committee
6,25
recommends
d'utilité publique
on a public
et une
utility
combinaison de
land, there's a
8,9
combination 8% of
5
and a sum of money of $3,900 and 21 cents
pour respecter
to respect
l'engagement des terrains publics
commitment of
dans la
public
subdivision.
work in the
C'est la
case
recommandation
of
du
a
comité
subdivision.
recommandé.
That is the recommendation of the PAC for your approval tonight.
Merci. Alors, pour
Thank
la
you
lecture de la
for the
résolution,
reading of the
Monsieur
resolution.
Thibodeau.
Monsieur Thibodeau,
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
thank you, worship,
Que le Conseil
that the
accepte la
council accept the
recommandation
recommendation
de la
of the planning
majorité
advisory
concernant
committee
l'acceptation du plan
for
planification
the
générale du lotissement
acceptance of
village
the
métropolitain
metropolitan village
de
that
l'utilité publique
plan a
de
public
645,8
utility property of
m². Le Conseil
485.8
accepte en plus
square meter in the
8%
council,
de la
except
superficie
no more
du
8%
lotissement
of
et
the size of the
6,975
subdivision and
m²,
$3,979.21, which is
du lotissement
8%
en guise de
of the
utilité publique.
as a public utility
Merci.
land. I so move,
Proposé
your
par
worship.
Merci,
Moved
M.
by
Thibodeau.
Councillor Thibodeau,
La
seconded by
conseillère
Councillor
Josée Turgeon. Bon.
C'est
Alors,
Turgeon,
ceux qui sont en
Roy.
faveur de
Those in favor of the resolution say yes.
Oui.
Contrary minded, nay.
Alors, la résolution est adoptée telle que présentée.
Carried.
Ça nous amène au
That brings us to
10.3.2, Monsieur Mélenchon.
10.3.2. Monsieur Mélenchon,
Vous avez ici également de
you
fixer
have
la date de
here
l'audience
to
publique
fix a date
pour
public
ce
hearing
prochain acquis sur cette
for a
propriété
piece of property on
également
Keith
discuté par la
Street
SCAP pour l'incorporer.
that was
C'est une modification de mon
it's
état
an
de
amendment
droit
asked on the bylaw Z
et
10,
la date est
and the
proposée le
date
9 mai
is
et
May the
selon
9th.
mon
And
avis,
also we
le
asked the
conseil est
notice
suffisamment
of the
dense pour
uh,
la réunion du 13 juin prochain.
pack for the meeting of
Merci pour la lecture
June
de la
the
résolution.
13th.
Madame
The reading,
Boudreau.
Ms. Boudreau.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Your
Le
worship,
conseil
that the
fixe une
council
audience
fix
publique
a
le 9
public
mai
hearing on
2029
May
à
the
19 heures à l'Hôtel Ville de
9th of
Dieppe
May 2029 at
pour
7
entendre
o'clock
les
at the
objections
City
aux
Hall of Dieppe
modifications
to
proposées
hear
à
the
l'arrêté
objections on the
bâti
amendment
avec
proposed
le
to the map
zonage Z10
bylaw
2021
Z10
visant à
2021,
identifier
aiming the
70
land
unités
described under pins at
7022-845 que le conseil demande
770228565, and that council
une
ask a
commission
written
consultative
advice of the
en matière de
PAC
bâti et prolonge
and
le
expand
délai prévu
the
sous
delay
l'article
plan under section
210
110 bracket 3
de la loi sur
of the
l'urbanisme du
Planning
13
Act
juin 2022. Je
for
propose
June the 13th,
que cette
2022.
commission
I move. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor
Brideau, excusez-moi.
Brideau.
Et sur la question,
On the
Monsieur
question,
Thibodeau.
Monsieur Thibodeau,
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
your worship,
Je suis en faveur de la modification
I'm in
proposée par la
favor
communauté.
of the
Et
amendment, but I was
ici,
surprised that here
dans l'image qu'on nous propose,
the image that is
page
proposing
11,
on page 71,
il se trouve à y avoir
there happens to be
15 édifices bâtiments
15 buildings in the
ça
whole
pourrait
lot,
être un quartier
and
de
it's
maisons locales.
close to a ward of
Alors,
single family dwelling
on vient
houses.
d'installer une
But
voirie
furthermore, we
et
just
cette
installed
circulation
a
traverse
traffic light at the
l'école
corner
des
of
Laurentides
Leyburn
en
Boulevard
quartier
Dieppe,
migratoire.
and they show
Est-ce
us
qu'on va changer tout ça de nouveau?
a carrefour, a traffic circle, and we're going to change the
Est-ce que
whole
les
thing
plans
again.
qui nous ont été
Are
proposés
these plans
étaient
that were
tout
proposed by
ça aussi
for
pour
the
cette
whole
circulation?
or only for part of it?
Monsieur Frenette, si
Monsieur
vous
Frenet,
pouvez
if you will.
intervenir.
Oui, bonsoir, vous
Good
m'entendez?
evening. Can you hear me? Yes.
Je vais essayer de mettre ma vidéo aussi.
I'll try to put my video
Donc, pour répondre à la question
to
du
answer
councillier,
the
sans
question
trop
from the
m'avancer dans
counselor. I
le
don't want to
processus pour entendre
go
la
too
réponse,
far ahead because
je pense que toute
we
cette
are in the
information
process.
va
All
être
that
présentée
information will
lors
be
du
able to
public
present to
hearing.
you during the public
Et
hearing.
effectivement,
And in fact,
leur demande ce soir, c'est pour un
their
petit
request tonight
coin
is for a small
d'un
corner
triangle,
of
justement
a kind of a
dans le cadre
triangle
de, comme vous avez dit,
for a
15
project of
bâtiments. Et
15
ces
buildings. As you
bâtiments
said, the
sont sur
15
une
buildings are
qui
on
permet
R4
justement
zoning
une
that
densification.
allow a
Mais
density such
le
as that
petit
one.
triangle qui est dans
But
votre
the small
rapport
triangle that is in your
on est
report
R2.
is
Donc,
on R2.
les développeurs
So
veulent
the developers
maximiser
can maximize
le terrain encore plus, donc demande
the
de
property
modifier
even
le
more.
zonage
So
pour
to
que
amend
ça
the zoning for
permette
that
sur le
small
bâtiment
property to
R2. Pour ce qui est
expand the
de votre
building.
question, à
But as
savoir
for
si
your
c'est un plan
question
qui nous
to
est
know if it's a
communiqué,
plan that was submitted to us, yes. In
le
fact,
conseil ne voit pas tout
the
l'ouvrage qui est
council don't see
en
all the work
arrière-plan
that is
avec
done
le personnel.
behind the
On a eu
scene with
plusieurs
the
rencontres
staff. We've had
avec
several
le service
meetings with the
planification, développement
planning
aussi,
service,
le service
development, the
de
engineering,
loisirs pour ce qui
and
est
the
de tout ce qui est
recreational for the
public
question of
utility qui va
public
proposer plusieurs
utility. We proposed
modifications au
several
développeur qui
changes
va
to the
faire
developer. The developer
aussi.
proposed
Il y a
some to us
aussi le
also.
service
We also had the
d'incendie
service
qui est
fire
supposé
department was
proposer
involved to make
des
sure
avis là,
that everything can
et
be
on va
served with a
essayer.
new
Donc
street
oui,
and everything
effectivement,
else. So,
avant de vous présenter
in fact, before we present you with a new zoning, we make sure that all the information, we're at ease with what is presented, made the different bylaw. If not, we would not present it to you, namely a project that can't go forward.
Mais comme je dis,
But
cette
as I said,
information-là plus en
This information, more in details, will be presented during the public hearing.
Présentation au public.
Another question?
Il y a une autre petite question.
I have another small question. It's simply for that small triangle that we vote on tonight, but
Est-ce qu'il a fait une demande de rezonage aussi
did he made
pour la hauteur de
a
l'édifice?
request for the height
Est-ce
of the
qu'il
building
pense
also?
peut-être
Because he mentions in there
que ce
that
soit 6 étages?
it would be six stories
Est-ce
high,
que ça le
and
permet
I'm
dans
not
son
sure that
dossier?
it is allowed in that
Nous,
sector.
nous, on va pas par les étages, on va
We
par
don't go
les
by
conventions
stories, we go
donc
by the height of
en
the
demandant
building.
maintenant, disons,
So
à
by asking,
l'exécutif
therefore, it
qu'est-ce qui est
would
proposé.
allow what is being proposed.
D'accord, merci.
Thank you.
Merci. Autre question, Madame
Other
Boudreau?
question, Mrs.
Merci,
Boudreau.
Monsieur le maire.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Ça m'a fait penser
It
à
reminded
quelques
me
projets qu'on avait vus avant
other projects
sur
that we
des
saw
visuels de
beforehand
question. Est-ce qu'on va
as to
réviser
a
bientôt
new building.
le
Will
nombre de
we
stationnements
revise the
dans
number of
appartements?
parking
Est-ce
lot
qu'on avait dit
allowed
qu'il y avait un minimum,
per apartment? That we saw there was a
un
minimum but no maximum. Are we
maximum?
going to
Ici,
reevaluate that?
encore,
Excuse
je sais
me.
pas si vous m'entendez,
There
là.
again, I don't know if you can hear me. Yes,
Si
yes.
que si qu'on reçoit une directive
If we receive
municipale,
a
on va
guideline from municipal
éventuellement
council, we can
même
study the
demander
question. We can even
l'expertise d'un
suggest
conseil pour
a
évaluer la
consulting
question. C'est
firm
pas
to study the question.
présentement, c'est pas
I'll tell you frankly,
l'expertise au
it's
GIS,
not
c'est même
our
à l'équipe d'ingénieurs
field of
d'évaluer
expertise for the
présentement
engineers or
si c'est
even
quelque chose
the
qu'on va
planners.
évaluer
But if something you want to
parce
study,
que
but I
en
can tell you
général,
that generally speaking,
dépendamment l'emplacement des
depending on the place
familiales
of the
et
multi-family dwelling,
on demande aussi
we
aux
live
municipalités
in a
aussi
municipality
règle générale ont deux
where
véhicules. Donc,
people or
habituellement,
families have two cars,
maximum
generally
demandeur
speaking,
demande un
but
maximum.
often
Que
the
ce soit
request
pour
as the maximum, whether it's
aussi la
to
visite
for residents, but also for
visiter
visitors who come to
donc
visit the
souvent
people. They want often to have
des
a
stationnements
surplus of
uniquement
parking
si le
space. But
conseil
there again,
décide
if the council
d'étudier la
wish
question
to
et
study the
de donner
question
une directive claire aux
and to
personnes
give a clear
peuvent
guideline to the staff, we can look
pour voir
if there are consulting firm, and we see often minimum but not but maximum according to the place, the location of the building. Sometimes we ask for multifamily in the middle of a city. We have a ratio of one parking per unit
pour justement essayer d'éviter
to try and avoid that we have to
limiter
use some
et
property
le développement.
that has a strong
J'aimerais
potential
ça
of.
qu'on fasse l'étude
I
justement
wish we would
pour
do a
augmenter le
study. We
transport en
talk
commun.
about increasing
J'ai dit
public
pendant
transport
ça
and
dans
future dependency on the cars or less
mais qu'est-ce que vous pensez
dependency. But from
qu'éventuellement
what I
tu peux avoir
understood, eventually would
une
be
voiture
able
par maison?
to use only one car
Ça
per
serait bien
household.
qu'on étudie
It
ça
would be good if we could study that in the future if the other
ça serait
counselors
une bonne idée. Merci.
think it would be a good idea. Thank you.
On va demander le DG de peut-être demander
We'll ask the manager to ask the staff
regardons nos options. C'est certain que
to look at our options.
il y a des places où on peut,
There are
d'autres
places
places
where
où
we
on
can
peut.
do it,
Les
other
gens
places where
sont pas mal distants des
people
places où
are
ils vont
quite
pouvoir aller
distant from the
acheter
places they
des
want to go
épiceries ou
shopping, whether it's
alors
grocery or
c'est
whatever
vraiment
it may be.
applicable
It won't be applicable everywhere,
mais il y a
but
certainement moyen
there's
de
certainly
déterminer certaines zones
a
peut-être
way of determining certain zone
un
and
peu plus de ce côté-là.
to look more.
Ceci étant
So
dit,
this being
est-ce
said,
qu'il y a d'autres questions sur
there
cette
any
résolution?
other questions on that resolution? If not,
Ceux qui sont en faveur de
all those in
l'adoption, s'il vous
favor say
plaît.
aye.
Les contraires,
Contrary minded, nay.
alors la résolution est adoptée telle que
Carried
présentée.
as presented.
Et ça nous amène maintenant
That
au
brings us to
10.3.2
10.3.2
pour fixer justement une date
to
d'audition
fix a
publique
date, public hearing
sur ce
on
sujet.
this
Quelqu'un va en
issue.
faire la lecture.
Can someone read us?
Si
Read?
ça n'y est pas,
Don't be shy.
Monsieur Thibodeau.
Monsieur Thibodeau.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Thank you, Worship.
Que le conseil fixe une audience
That council
publique
fixed a
pour
public
les
hearing on May the 9th, 2028 at 7 o'clock at the City Hall to hear the objections The amendment proposed on
des
the
oranges
map
Z10
bylaw Z10
visant le traitement des eaux
21
usées sur le
for the PID 702228465,
Le Conseil demande
and
que
that the
le
council
justifié
asks
indique
the
qu'il est
written
affecté
notice of the
géographiquement
pact
et prolonge le délai
and
prévu sous
extend
l'article
the
110-3
delay under Article
de la loi sur
110-3 of the Planning Act to June the
Je le
13th,
propose à ce titre.
2022, as so moved. Moved by Councilor Thibodeau, seconded by Councilor Benito. Other question?
Aucune question. Alors, ceux qui sont
No
pour
question. All those in
la résolution
favor, say aye.
Oui.
de l'avis contraire,
Contrary-minded, nay.
la résolution est adoptée par le
Carried
Conseil.
by Council.
10.3.3, M.
10.3.3,
Lantin dehors.
Monsieur Lanting will leave
Virtuel, on va le mettre dehors parce qu'il
virtual.
il nous avait dit qu'il y avait
He told us that he had a
une
conflict of
possibilité
interest,
possible.
a possible
Donc,
conflict.
il est parti de nos
He's
écrans.
gone.
Alors, maintenant,
Now,
M. Melançon.
Monsieur Melanson,
Alors oui, Monsieur le maire, ici, on
yes,
avait
Your
une
Worship,
demande
we receive a request, an amendment of
D19
bylaw
PID
Z9
10
and
sur
Z10
Champlain
on
Gardens
Champlain Street
C. Mika
by
Properties
Mika
Incorporated. La
Abraze
condition
Incorporated. One of the conditions was to
au niveau du
do a
son et du
study
bruit. Alors,
about the
ça a
sound
été,
or the
ça a
noise,
été réalisé,
and that
intégré
was
dans le
realized and
memorandum.
integrated to
Alors,
this memorandum.
c'est que
What is
le
in front of
développeur
you
doit
is the
conformer aux
developer must
recommandations
be conformed to the
citées dans le
recommendation that
document
this
pour
study mentioned
diminuer l'impact
to reduce
de
the
ce projet
impact
doit
of that
avoir
project
des
must
recommandations
have the
d'acoustiques
recommendation
qui
from
ont été
Acoustic Lab
présentées le 21
that
mars
was
dernier
prepared on March the
et c'est
23rd last,
de respecter les
and is to
recommandations
respect the condition
CCI
that the
mentionnées.
pact had
Alors ici,
presented to the
on a
municipal
toutes les
council.
obligations
Here we talk about all the
établies
obligation
par le
and
CCI
that was
pour
established with the
l'approbation
pact,
du
and it's for
projet.
your approval tonight.
Merci pour la lecture de
For
la
the reading
résolution.
of the
Monsieur
resolution,
Brideau.
Monsieur Brideau.
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
Thank your worship that the council accept the measures dealing with the sound recommended in the impact study prepared by the firm Acoustic Lab on March 23rd, to which satisfied in the recommendation adopted on February 28, 2022. The development of multifamily must be built according to the recommendation included in the impact sound study. The number three, that no the development be accepted unless a sound development is presented for the planning and development in the municipal council, and that the measures recommended be implemented by the promoter to the satisfaction of the service planning and development and the municipal council through an agreement of the development. That's all move, your worship.
Merci.
Thank
Proposé
you.
par le
Moved
président
by
Brideau.
Councilor Brito.
Appuyé par
Seconded by
Madame Leboutier.
Mrs. Leboudier.
Sur la question.
On the question.
Sur la question, Madame
On the
Godbout.
question, Mr.
Merci,
Goodbu.
Monsieur le maire. Il me manque un morceau d'information avant de pouvoir
There's some
répondre
information
sur cette
missing.
question. Si ma mémoire est bonne,
If
cette
my
demande
memory
d'urgence
serves me
vient
right,
de
that
la
requirement
commanditaire
comes from the recommendation.
le groupe de
Uh,
l'aéroport qui
the
représentait environ
airport
300 000
group
euros, à
represented
savoir
by
qu'il y
Councilor
a une
Brito.
recommandation contre
There is a
les edifications
recommendation
urbaines dans ce
against the
secteur-là. Il y a une
construction in that
recommandation contre
environment. They
l'approbation
recommend
et
to
obtenir un
make a
rapport.
report and obtain
Ce
a
que je me
report.
demande, c'est est-ce que le
What I
rapport
wonder,
qu'on a obtenu
what the result of the
est relié
report
à
was, it
l'aéroport et
returned to the
l'amélioration,
airport
dire est-ce que
for
ça
a
va changer
redirection to say,
ou
does
vous faites
this,
changer
do
votre
you agree with
recommandation.
this, and will it make you change your
C'est ça la
recommendation?
recommandation qu'on a essayé de
Because
satisfaire.
that's a recommendation that we made. Chief
Bonne question. Non,
good
on n'a pas
question.
fait.
No, we didn't do it
Parce que
because
justement, l'aéroport, c'est des
the
recommandations.
airport,
C'est pas une
their
vraie loi.
recommendations,
Donc, si
it's
c'est
not
quelque chose que vous désirez
legal,
que
but
nous
if something you want us to
bon
do,
exercice
which I think
à
is a good
faire, on peut
exercise
définitivement le
to be
faire.
done, we can
Donc,
definitely do it
la recommandation,
because the
c'était cette
recommendation
étude sur
was
place.
that the study be done
Puis,
and
qui suit les recommandations
that they would follow the recommendation
c'est
of
selon
the
ça
study, and the
qu'on
study showed that
obtient
there should
la
be
sonorisation
means of
pendant la
sound
construction. Par contre,
during the
on
building.
peut
Well,
faire notre due diligence, là, puis
we
de
can do
revenir
our
à
due
l'aéroport
diligence and send it
s'ils
back
sont
to the
satisfaits
airport
La
and
raison
to
que
see
je
if
vous
they're
pose ça,
satisfied.
là,
The
c'est
reason
que
I
moi,
think
quand
it's a
j'ai
good idea,
lu le
thank you.
rapport, quand tu
I
lis
read
le
the
rapport,
report, and when you read
il
the
vient
report from the
pas
expert,
dire
it
et
doesn't come back to say
ils disent voici, on fait un
they say, well, if we present a report, but they don't say how it will reduce the rate, does not give details to confirm independently that following this, maybe they will say it's sufficient. But for me, the report is that, but check the box. I made a report and we have to validate the content with those because if not, a plane that goes to the airport says it's recommended not to do it, and they did it.
Mais on n'a pas eu la rétroaction là-dessus. Là.
We didn't have the retroaction
Ça
because
peut être une de d'autres. Fait que pour moi,
it,
c'est
for
un
me,
élément manquant qui fait en sorte
it's
que
a
ça va
lacking
être
element that I
définitivement
can't vote in favor of this. I don't think we've reached the
nul
objective
ce rapport.
that was wanted by
On
that
partage
report.
le rapport avec l'aéroport et aussi
We share the
on a
report with the
besoin
airport
aussi
and we make
de
note
nous
that
en occuper.
if other requests are made in
Merci, mais
the
je
future.
pense que
But I
je pense
think
que
that
pour le moment, on va
for the
devoir
time being, we will have made it maybe
laisser les
to
gens
wait and withdraw this
valider. Je pense que ça avait
to
été
validate. I think
quand même assez clair
it was clear
de
enough
ce qui était l'intention.
as
Alors,
to
je
what
pense qu'on
was
veut
the
pas,
intention. So I think
on n'aime pas de retarder les
we
constructions,
don't
mais
like to delay constructions, but
c'est quelque chose qui pourrait être réglé
something
quand
that
même
could
dans les prochaines
be
semaines
settled in the weeks to
au
come
conseil municipal pour avoir la
within
réponse
the
de l'aéroport.
municipal council when we get the answer from from the
Alors,
airport.
une proposition de
We
tabler
have a motion to table
cet item sur cette
this
proposition
item
par
tonight, so
Madame Boudreau,
seconded by Mrs. Boudreau,
proposée par Madame
moved
Boudreau.
by
Sur la
Mrs.
question
Godbout. Other question.
Question.
Question
Question.
numéro 2.
Monsieur Boudreau,
Si je vais me référer à Madame.
I will
Ce
refer to
qu'elle
Mrs.
proposait, c'est
Godbout.
que
If I understand correctly,
le rapport n'a pas été à
the
l'aéroport encore.
report has yet to be presented
Donc,
to the airport.
on a
So
lieu je suis d'accord qu'on mette ça de côté.
I agree that we set it
C'est quelque chose
aside.
qu'on faisait dans le passé.
It's not an exercise we were doing
C'est
in
sûr
the
qu'on
but
comprend
maybe it's an exercise we should
qu'il faut prendre en
undertake.
compte les conditions
But
du CCE.
right now we are meeting the
Donc,
condition of the
on a
pack,
été discuter avec l'aéroport
but we
et
did not
également on va
discuss.
contacter
And
l'aéroport
also,
pour
when we
voir
contact
comment
the
ça va
airport, we
dérouler
don't have the control as to when they come back
Ça
to
pourrait
us.
créer des problèmes, par exemple.
So that could create
On va
problems.
apprendre à notre outil de faire le suivi, mais
But we can probably
Ouais.
do a follow up.
Faudra les encourager.
We'll have to
Madame
encourage them.
Leboutier.
Mrs. Liberty,
Moi, sur ce sujet, Monsieur le maire, moi, je
Your
vais
Worship,
voter contre là,
I
de
will vote
justifier le fait
against the
déjà le
tabling of
développeur,
this
si je comprends bien
already. The
bien,
developer, if I
nous
remember
approchait de
correctly,
Ville
he
avant
approached
même
us
l'adoption de notre
before
zonage Z9.
the
Puis,
rezoning
d'ailleurs, on parle d'une
Z9. I
extension
look at the report, an expert tell us
qu'on est dans
that
les normes.
we are
C'est
within the standards
normalement, le
and
CCU
we
ne devrait
have
pas
the
être
pack
convaincu.
that
Sinon, on manque de critères.
recommends that they meet
Pour
the
moi,
criteria.
je vois pas, et encore une
And
fois,
I
on
don't
a le
see, once
CCE
again,
qui dirige les arrêtés, puis là, on va remettre ça
we
maintenant
direct the
dans le
bylaw and now we'll give it to
numéro. Puis on n'a
somebody
aucune
else.
idée qu'est-ce qui peut être
And we have no idea
adopté.
what could be the
Si on a
timing.
des expériences
And
avec
we
le
know we've had
CCE, non,
experiences.
là-dessus, moi,
Well,
je
for me,
vais
no.
accepter le rapport de
I will
l'expert
accept the report from the expert
en
that
moins que les
tell
autres. Et
us
aussi,
we meet the
sur les
standard.
critères.
Furthermore,
Tout
we are in a
habitation
ward that
conditionnellement
is
fabriquée.
inhabited. It's not as if we start at
Dans ce
zero.
coin-là, il y a des
In
maisons
all
qui
that
ont été
corner, there are houses. I mean,
presque
do we have
habitées non
complaints?
habitées.
Is there a lot of
Puis
complaints?
jusqu'à
I mean,
maintenant, moi, j'ai rien
until
entendu
now,
là-dessus.
I haven't heard
Ça,
any.
c'est mon point de vue là-dessus.
Thank you.
Merci
That's
bien.
my
Merci,
opinion. Thank you, Monsieur Thibodeau.
je suis du même avis que
Well,
Mme
I
Boutier.
agree
Je pense
with
que
Mr. Boutier. I think
l'opération que vous êtes en demande,
the gentleman
on va
made a request to us,
donner
and
les conditions, puis
we
selon les
gave
conditions,
conditions. He accepted the conditions. He redid the evaluation, and
il a accepté
he
de respecter
accepted
toutes les
to
recommandations de
respect all the
l'expert.
recommendation
Je pense
from the expert.
qu'on n'a pas le droit de lui refuser ça.
We are not allowed to refuse that to him.
merci. Est-ce que
Thank
quelqu'un
you.
d'autre
Is there
veut
somebody
s'exprimer?
else that want to print to?
Non. Alors, on va
No?
passer au vote.
Okay.
Ceux qui
Let's go to a
sont
vote.
en faveur
Those
que
in
l'on
favor
retire
that we
la,
withdraw
la résolution,
the
qu'on table la
resolution, that
résolution,
we table it,
signifiez-le par un oui.
say aye.
Oui.
Yes.
Alors, ceux qui sont en faveur par
Those
non.
against, nay.
Non.
Alors, non
So
l'emporte. Alors,
the
on va
nay
retirer.
carries. We will not
On va
withdraw.
maintenant vous demander
We will now ask you to vote on the resolution as is. All those in favor of the resolution say aye. Wait, let me finish. I'll ask if there's a question. Patience. All those, sorry, for the reading of the resolution is done. You're right. I'm sorry for the question. Mrs. Godbout,
Merci. Moi,
thank you.
juste une clarification. C'est
Just a
quoi le
clarification.
score
What is the
des...
conclusion of the expert, the report
Puis
by the
les
expert
employés, comment est-ce qu'on a traduit ça?
and
Moi,
the
je l'ai
employees?
pas
How
vu. J'ai essayé de
I
trouver.
I was
C'est
trying
quoi
to find it.
les
What is the
rencontres?
conclusion from the
La
expert
conclusion
report? The
est
conclusion is
extrêmement simple
extremely
de
simple.
constater. C'est
It
simplement pour
was
dire que
it's
les
simply to
informations
say that
selon la
it can
région
be
devraient
within
fournir.
a
Il
region.
devra démontrer
You
qu'il
will
va
have to
bâtir
show that he will build
fournissant
by
des
supplying
installations là, pour
some
réduire les
sound
bruits
to reduce the noise
excuse-moi, les bruits des avions.
daily
Donc, oui,
with
c'est une
the
étude
noise by the airplanes. I've seen
poussée,
studies
ça a été dit.
that were much more
Donc, c'est
exhaustive than this
avancez
one.
et
So in
mettez,
fact,
assurez-vous de construire un
make
bâtiment
sure
qui
to
va être
build a
sonorisé
building that will be
et si c'est capable de
soundproof.
démontrer qu'il
And if they can show
atteint
that they did it,
ça aura
it
les
will meet
performances
the requirements.
demandées.
Alors, est-ce que c'est dans les normes, est-ce que ça précise comment
Is
est-ce que
it
les normes
within the
vont
standards
devoir
of what
indiquer dans
the
les normes
airport has indicated as to the standards that should be applicable?
Question-là,
I
je suis
can come
pas
back to you.
au bureau présentement.
I'm not at my office
Merci
presently, and
de mes
it's a
collègues. J'ai pas
file
plus de temps, malheureusement,
from
pour partager
another
j'ai
one of my
passé sur la
colleagues.
mission
We have to share the task. I'm not at the
sur la
office,
conclusion
except
qui m'a
the
été
conclusion that was given to me.
Merci.
Thank you.
Merci. Autre question?
Other question?
Sinon, ceux qui sont en faveur
All
de la
those in
résolution, s'il y a
favor
encore
of
une
the
fois.
resolution say aye.
Ceux qui sont contre.
Those against, nay.
On a un
We have
contre
one
et
nay,
la résolution passe.
and resolution is adopted.
Le vote contre était la conseillère Corinne Godbout.
Oui, c'est ça. Pour enregistrer. Merci.
For
Alors,
to register
on peut
Councillor
demander
Cadbo.
au conseiller
We
Lantaigne
can ask Councillor
de
Lantang
revenir
to come back.
à la réunion. De toute façon, on va couper son salaire.
Otherwise, we will reduce his salary.
Monsieur Lantaigne.
Monsieur Lantang, come back.
Eh bien, ça prend pas grand-chose.
Doesn't take much, eh? He had the opportunity.
Alors, on va
Well,
continuer quand même.
we'll continue nevertheless without him.
François de nouveau. Pardon? Il est de retour.
He's back?
Bienvenue.
Okay, welcome.
T'as presque perdu ton salaire pour le mois.
You almost lost your salary for the month.
Alors, on continue maintenant avec l'arrêté 11.1.
11.1, the bylaw,
Pour ce qui est l'arrêté Z9.
bylaw Z9 2017,
L'arrêté concernant
amending the municipal bylaw
sur la rue Gillespie.
on Gillespie Street. We will go by reading in its entirety. Who is ready to do it, Monsieur Thibodeau?
Dans son intégrale.
Merci,
For
Monsieur
it.
le maire.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Arrêté numéro Z-9.
Bylaw number Z-9 2017-8, bylaw to amend the bylaw relating to the city of Dieppe, pursuant to the council of the city of Dieppe under the council and SNB 1017 C19 municipal
L'arrêté concernant
as follow.
de
The bylaw
soit l'arrêté Z9
Z9 bracket 2017 edicted on September 2017 and deposited in the Westmont Council and number 3753732 on November the 3rd, 2018 is hereby amended Schedule A1 entitled
mentionné dans le corps de l'arrêté concernant le plan
Generalized. Whenever a mention of it is done, is amended by map as Annex A-1-10. I so move in its entirety, reading its entirety, Move and seconded on the question. No question. All those in favor, say aye.
Oui.
Could reminder, say nay. So we accept by reading in its entirety and will proceed with the third reading by title only. Monsieur Thibodeau, your worship,
Arrêté
by
numéro
law Z-9,
17-8,
bracket 2017-8,
arrêté modifiant l'arrêté
amending the bylaw
municipal de la ville de Dieppe,
of the municipal
proposé
plan of the
au
city of
Conseil
Dieppe. I
municipal
move the third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Turgeon. All those in favor say aye.
Oui.
Could reminder say nay. So yes, carry. Accepted the third reading Z9 2017-8, and we will now proceed with Z10 2021-3 for the reading of this bylaw. Mrs. Boudreau, your worship,
Arrêté
bylaw
modifiant le
number
zonage de la ville de
bylaw to
Dieppe
amend the city of Dieppe
ainsi que
zoning
le
bylaw.
bylaw
The
communautaire
Council of City
ainsi que
of Dieppe,
l'ordonnance
under the
municipale
authority vested in the community by
chapitre
SNB 2017, Chapter
municipal de
19, the
Dieppe
Municipal Council of Dick
solidifie
as
la loi de
follows.
zonage de la ville
The
de Dieppe
bylaw of the
soit
City of
respectée.
Dieppe, namely bylaw
L'article 10
NZ10
2021
2021,
édicté
enacted
le
on
21
April 12,
juillet
2021,
2021
is
est
filed
déposé au
and filed
dans
in
la
the registration office of the County of
municipale
Westmoreland under number
411731
411713189 on April the 15th, 2021,
modifié
is
comme suit.
hereby amended as follow.
L'annexe
Schedule A
A
entitled
du
City of
zonage
Dieppe
de la ville de
zoning
Dieppe
bylaw,
est mentionné
whatever
le
is
code
mentioned in the next
zonage est modifié
in the rest of
dans
the
le
zoning
suivant
bylaw is
sous
amended
dite
by the
annexe
adjoining map
de la
to
ville de
attach
Dieppe.
Schedule 83. I so move. Moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. No question. All those in favor of this bylaw say aye. Contrary, no. So that too is accepted, and we will proceed now. Proceed third and final reading by title only.
Merci. Arrêté numéro 17
Bylaw
2021
Z-10 2021-3,
modifiant l'arrêté
amending the zoning bylaw of the city of Dieppe. I so moved by Councillor Boudreau, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau first on the question. No question. All those in favor say aye.
Oui.
Contrary minded say nay. So bylaw Z-10 2021-3 is adopted in third and final reading. This brings us to A2 2022 concerning the ward and composition of council. So maybe I could add a few details, Mr. Minalso, on the work that has been done and where it's coming from and what it eats in the spring. Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Sima can add if I forget certain things. As you know, the government has filed the white paper that is to uh, make municipalities out of the most of the territories and the local service that was introduced to the city of Dieppe and replaced on January the 1st, 2023. So the province have asked us to see this new territory that will attach to the city and integrate them in ward of municipality. We did the exercise on this project. So that we're asking you to have the first two reading by title only, and then we'll submit this to the province for an approval, support, and to see if there are elements that have to be added. Here we are integrating the new territory and 802 wards, Ward 4 and 5, and is one map that is attached also, if I remember correctly, to the project of the bylaw, and it will be in effect for January the 1st, 2023.
On a encore vu tôt
So we
aujourd'hui
still have
avec
time
si jamais
before the final reading. If there are any revision or some adjustment to be made, we keep that privilege, and the final reading will be coming in the next few weeks. There's no emergency.
on était
For the
pas
date of
situé
June
dans
the
une
1st, we were
position
asked
pour
to do the
devoir
exercise. We wanted to have your input, make
transformer
sure
le
that you
projet
are
on le soumet
in
au province cette semaine
conformity. We
et on
submit it to the
décidera
province this week, and we'll
ensuite.
see if there's any adjustment to be made.
Merci. Alors pour la lecture
For the reading,
par titre seulement,
by title only,
Madame Turgeon-Roy.
Mrs. Turgeon-Roy.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, donc,
Thank you, Your
ainsi
Worship.
réétabli
Bylaw A-2,
avec la ville
2022,
de Dieppe
a
concernant
bylaw
la
of the City of Dieppe
composition
concerning the
du
ward
conseil de
composition of
council.
council. I so move.
Proposé par
First reading,
Monsieur
moved by
Turgeon-Roy,
Councillor
puis
Turgeon-Roy, seconded by
Monsieur
Councillor
Thibodeau sur la
Thibodeau.
question.
Other question?
Aucune question. Alors ceux
No
qui sont
question.
favorables
All
à la
those in
première
favor,
lecture signifieraient par
first
un oui.
reading, say aye.
Oui.
Contraire par un non.
Against,
Alors
nay.
l'arrêté
Bylaw
A2
A-2,
première lecture
2022
à titre
is
exceptionnel de
adopted. First
procéder
reading by
aux
title
nouvelles
only.
lectures encore
We
une fois
proceed to
ainsi
second
proposées
reading
par
by title
Madame
only.
Turgeon-Roy.
Mrs. Turgeon-Roy.
Donc, l'arrêté A2,
So bylaw
ben,
A-2,
arrêté A2 Dieppe
2022, a
concernant
bylaw,
l'unité et la
City of Dieppe,
composition du
concerning
conseil
the
de
wards
council.
and composition of the council. I so
Alors
moved by
Monsieur
Councillor
Turgeon-Roy, puis Monsieur
Turgeon-Roy,
Thibodeau sur la
seconded by
question.
Councillor Thibodeau. Other question?
Aucune question.
No
Alors ceux qui
question.
sont en faveur de la
All
résolution
those in
signifieront
favor
par un
say
oui.
aye.
De l'avis contraire
Oui.
par un non.
Contrary minded say
La
nay.
résolution
Resolution is
est
adopted.
acceptée. Et je tiens
And
mon collègue à ne pas
I would be
remercier les
remiss
stagiaires
not
pour
to thank the
l'excellent
staff
travail
for the
effectué sur le
excellent
dossier. C'est effectivement
work
un
that
très,
was
très, très,
done.
très
And
lourd
it's very heavy,
comme tâche. Alors,
task
merci à
wise.
vous
And
tous pour
thank you to one and
avoir
all
montré les
for
dates
meeting
relevés qui viennent
the
rapidement du
dates
côté
that come quickly
du gouvernement provincial.
from the provincial
Alors,
government.
maintenant, ça nous amène à
Now,
l'item
that
11
brings us to
donc
11.4,
l'arrêté
bylaw
Z29-17
Z29,
numéro
2017,
6, modifiant
6,
effectivement
amending
le plan
the
d'aménagement
bylaw,
municipal
the
sur
municipal
Champlain
bylaw
Street et
specifically
Champlain pour
on Champlain Street for storage. Monsieur Melanson, do you have any details? No, it's the same projects. It's for the reading in its entirety, and you've been made aware of this file. It's for your file reading
aussi bien
only.
pour la lecture
So for the
dans
reading
son intégralité.
in its entirety,
Dans son intégralité. Oui,
is it?
c'est bien. Alors, Madame
So,
Godbout.
Mrs. Goodbow,
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Arrêté
your worship,
Z9 2017 numéro
Z9
6,
2017
modifiant l'arrêté
6,
concernant le
a
plan d'aménagement
bylaw
municipal de
to
Dieppe.
amend a bylaw of the
En
city of
modifiant
Dieppe.
et lui confère la
The
lettre
council of city of
d'initiative
Dieppe, by the
municipale
power
au conseil municipal
given
pour
to it, the
discuter des
city of
suites.
Dieppe,
L'arrêté concernant
as
le plan
follows.
d'aménagement municipal
The
de
development
Dieppe
municipal
est
bylaw of the
adopté
city of
selon
Dieppe,
ses règles
namely
le 7
Z9
juillet
2017, is dictated on
2017
December
dans
the
le journal
17th
officiel du comté de
and
Westmontcalm
filed in the
tel
Westmoreland County
numéro
under number 375387482 on November 3rd, 2017, is amended as follows: Schedule A1 schedule, Westmoreland map, it mentioned in the law the development of the city of Dieppe and amended by the map here to attach by annex A-1-8. I move in its entirety.
Dossier proposé
Thank
par
you. Moved
Councillor
by
Godbout,
Councillor Gadbo,
proposé
seconded
à
by
l'unanimité sur la
Councillor
question.
Leboutillier. Other question?
Aucune question. Alors, ceux
No
qui sont en
question.
faveur de la
All
résolution
those in
signifieront par
favor
un
say
oui.
aye.
De l'avis contraire par
Contrary
un non.
minded
La
say
résolution
nay.
est acceptée telle qu'elle est
Carried
adoptée.
as presented. And
On
this
arrive
brings us
aux
to
dernières lectures.
third and final reading.
Madame
Mrs.
Merci,
Gadbo.
Monsieur le maire.
Thank
Arrêté
you, Your Worship.
Z9
Bylaw Z9
2017
2017-6.
modifiant l'arrêté concernant le
A
plan
bylaw
d'aménagement
to amend a
municipal de
bylaw
Dieppe
relating to the city of Dieppe
conformément
Municipal
au
Development
règlement
Plan. I move in
administratif
third reading by title
dossier
only.
proposé
Thank
par
you.
Councillor
Moved
Godbout
by
et
Councillor
Councillor
Godbout,
Leboutillier.
seconded by Councillor Leboutillier.
Sur la question.
On the question.
Aucune question. Alors,
No
ceux qui sont en
question.
faveur de la
All
résolution
those in
signifieront par
favor
un
say
oui.
aye.
De l'avis contraire par un
Contrary
non.
minded
La
say nay.
résolution est acceptée en troisième
Carried
et
in
dernière
third and
lecture.
final
On
reading.
arrive maintenant
This brings
à
us to
l'item
item
11.5.
11.5 bylaw Z 10 2021. Once again on Champlain Street for the reading in its entirety. Mrs. Turgeois.
Merci.
Thank
Arrêté
you.
numéro
Bylaw number Z dash 10 2021 1.
modifiant l'arrêté
Bylaw to
provisoire
amend the city of Dieppe bylaw
confère la
pursuant to
possibilité
the
à la
power
municipalité
given by the
d'organiser
Community Planning NB
de l'ordre
2017 Chapter
communautaire
19.
et de
The city of Dieppe
procéder
as
au
follows.
tirage de la
The
ville
bylaw
sur
zoning
la
bylaw of the city of
aux
Moncton, namely
exercices
number
planifiés
Z10
édicté le
2021,
1er
edicted
avril
on
2021
April 12,
et
2021,
publié
and
au journal
filed
du comté de
registry
Westmount
office of the
le mois
Westmont County number
suivant le numéro
41173
15 avril
on
2021.
April 15, 2021 is hereby amended as follows.
À modifiant
Schedule A title City of Zoning the map
lors de l'arrêté
is
suivant
mentioned in the zoning bylaw and amended by the Schedule A1. I move, Your Worship, in its entirety. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Turgeois, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. All no question. All those in favor say aye. And to reminder, say nay. So adopted in the reading in its entirety. We'll proceed with the third and final reading by title only.
donc arrêté numéro 10
Bylaw number
modifiant
Z-10, bracket 2021-1. Bylaw to amend the city of Dieppe
de Dieppe.
planning bylaw. I move, Your Worship, by title only. Moved by title only by Councillor Turgeois, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. No question. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded say nay. So we have accepted Z10 2021, third and final reading. And to continue with bylaw Z-9 2017-7, amending the municipal bylaw in its integrity. Any willing people?
Arrêté numéro
Bylaw number Z-9 2017-7, bylaw to amend a bylaw relating the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. Council of City of Dieppe, pursuant to the authority given to us, Chapter 19, the Municipal City of Dieppe as follow. The municipal planning bylaw of the City of Dieppe, namely Z9 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office under number 375387842 on November 3rd, 2017, and amended as follows. Schedule A-1 entitled General Fix Map within the municipal of the city of Dieppe is amended by map title as Annex A1-1-9. I move in first reading, no, in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Louboudier, seconded Councillor, excuse me, Boudreau.
J'avais pas vu de mouvement, alors j'ai passé.
I didn't see you
Alors,
move. So
sur la question.
on the question,
Aucune question, alors
no
succéder à la
question.
question, excusez, Madame.
Oh, question, Ms. Godbout.
Merci. Deux commentaires. Un, je
Two
pense que le
comments.
membre voulait se retirer de la discussion aussi.
The member was supposed to remove himself from.
Non?
No,
Pas celui-là? OK, merci.
not that one. Okay.
Moi,
Oui,
de
oui,
mon
oui.
côté,
Oui, je viens de réaliser
I just
sur
realized
les quatre derniers points, oui. C'est le même projet que 10.3.3.
it's the same as
Je viens juste de
10.3.3.
réaliser ça.
I just
Désolé.
realized that.
Alors, monsieur, notre technicien, si on veut le retirer, conseiller Lantaigne,
Ouais.
Technician,
c'est fait.
if you can remove Councillor Nothing, it's
on
done.
le mentionne pour lui, parce que ça, j'ai
We
mentionné
mention it
deux
for
fois
him
avant qu'il
because
le mentionne.
sometimes he
Donc,
mentions
pour
that.
celui-ci, j'ai
Well,
réalisé votre
on this
question
one,
de
I
révision
intend to vote
pour le
against
monsieur en question, mais de
for me the
réorganisation
property
de
question.
l'association-là,
should not be included in that section of the city. For me, it's a development, even if in the past we allowed certain development, it doesn't mean that we should keep doing it because we look for future development. Just wanted to explain why. Because the third reading, I voted in favor first and second to allow the, the debate and see what we would get in the report. But for me, the report is not adequate. I think that we have the potential of having residents who live in that building that are not satisfied. For me, it's not where I would see the development of that section of the city. So it's no for that. Those are reasons.
Pas de commentaires.
Other comments?
Sinon, ceux qui sont en faveur de
All those in
l'adoption
favor
seront
say
indiqués
aye.
par par un oui.
Oui.
Qui vote
Contrary
contraire,
minded nay.
merci.
Nay.
Le nom
Thank you.
sera noté
The nay
pour
will be
Madame
noted
Godbout.
for Ms. Goodbull.
Alors, prochaine lecture, évidemment,
Next
c'est
reading, of course,
lecture
is
par
reading
titre
by
seulement.
title only.
Alors, Madame Leboutier.
Mr. Boudier,
Arrêté
a
numéro
bylaw number Z-9
17
2017-7, the bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. I move in third reading. Title only, moved by Councillor Lewoutier.
Troisième et dernière
In
lecture.
third and final
Sur la
reading,
question,
on the question,
le nom a déjà été noté.
the nay has been
Ceux qui
noted,
sont en
so
faveur du
those in favor
signifiez-le par un oui.
say aye.
L'avis contraire par un non.
Contrary minded nay.
Alors, le nom de Madame
So the nay,
Godbout sera
Ms.
noté.
Goodwill, will be noted.
Et ça nous amène
And that brings us
prochain item qui nous
next
amène à
item that
l'arrêté
brings us to bylaws at 10 2021 to
sur la ville de
amending
Champlain.
the zoning bylaw on Champlain
Pour
Street
la lecture de cette
for the reading in its entirety.
Thibodeau.
Monsieur Thibodeau,
Merci, Monsieur le maire.
your worship,
En vertu des pouvoirs que lui confère la loi sur
pursuant the Council
l'organisation
of City of Dieppe, the authority, and be
municipale de Dieppe et
the
des
municipal
dispositions
city of
réglementaires de
Dieppe,
la ville de Dieppe
zoning
signées
bylaw
par
of
le
the City of
gouvernement
Dieppe,
le 10
numbers at 10 2021, edicted on April 12, 2021, and filed at the Westmoreland County Registry of number 411733189 on April 15, 2021 is amended as follows. Schedule A entitled City of Zoning Map and within the zoning bylaw is amended by the amended map Schedule A-2. I move in its entirety.
Monsieur le conseiller
Moved by
Thibodeau,
Councilor Thibodeau, seconded
sur la
by
lecture
Councilor
de cette
Brideau on the question. All those in,
question, alors, ceux qui sont
no
en faveur
question,
de la
all those in
fixation
favor say aye.
de la
Contrary
durée par un
minded
non.
say nay.
Non, de la part
No,
de Madame
from
Godbout.
Ms.
Alors,
Godbout.
maintenant
So
pour la
now
troisième et
for
dernière
the third
lecture,
and final reading
titre seulement, Monsieur
by
Thibodeau.
title only, Monsieur Thibodeau.
Monsieur le maire, arrêté
Your
numéro
worship. Bylaw
7-10-2021
Z10 2021-2, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I move
troisième lecture par
third
titre
reading by title only.
Dossier proposé par le
Thank you. Moved by
conseiller
Councilor Thibodeau,
appuyé par le
seconded
conseiller
by Councilor
Brideau sur la
Brideau
question.
on the question.
Aucune question. Alors, ceux qui
No
sont en
question.
faveur de la
All those in
fixation,
favor
signifiez-le par un oui.
say aye.
L'avis contraire
Should
par un
be
non.
reminded say nay.
Non enregistré.
Registered
Alors,
no.
ceci
So this
nous amène au
bring us
item
to
12, soit
item 12,
motion.
notice of motion.
On n'a pas reçu de motion.
We did receive. There he is.
Aucun avis de
No
motion.
notice of
Alors, on
motion.
va
Okay.
passer à l'item 13, demande
Number
d'avancement
13, inquiries and announcement by the city council. I don't know where it was at, but I think that I'm on the right side. The one on the right is in center. I don't know if we'll let him talk.
Ça fait mon affaire. Ça fait
Go
mon
ahead.
affaire. Ça fait mon affaire si j'ai pas besoin de parler beaucoup.
I'm
Il n'y a
fine
rien
if I
pour moi ce
don't have,
soir,
there's
donc
nothing for
je vous
me
souhaite une
tonight.
bonne soirée.
Nothing to
Rien
add?
du tout.
Thank you.
Madame Godbout.
Mrs. Goodwill. No, nothing to add. Thank you for a beautiful meeting, and that's all. Good evening. Thank you. Mr. Jean Roy. Neither do I. Nothing to add. Good week. Have a nice week.
Merci bien,
Thank you.
Monsieur Thibodeau.
Monsieur Thibodeau.
Moi, je voudrais féliciter nos
I'd like
filles
to
qui ont
congratulate
gagné à la ringuette.
our girls who won that I get the tournament. And have a good week, everybody. Thank you.
Monsieur Brideau.
Monsieur Brideau, thank you, worship. I have nothing to add tonight.
Merci bien, Madame
Thank you,
Boudreau.
Miss Boudreau.
Merci. J'ai juste une
Thank you.
petite
I
question.
just have a small question.
Le jour de la Terre, le 22 avril, ça
On
serait
April
quand?
the 22nd,
Puis la
Earth
ville de
Day, it's
Moncton va
coming up, and the city
organiser
of Moncton is organizing
des nettoyages.
some
Les
cleaning.
citoyens sont
The
encouragés à
citizens are
nettoyer
encouraged to
toutes
go
sortes
and
de
clean, and
choses,
Echo
les
360 is
sacs.
supplying
Est-ce que la ville
bags.
de Dieppe va
Does the city of
participer? Est-ce que
Dieppe
les
will
communications
they
ça va
participate
sortir?
in one? Will the communication be made public?
Oui, une seconde.
Judy, just a moment.
Ah, oh, et voilà. Il n'y avait pas de nom sur ce. Voilà.
Oui, on va avoir des initiatives au
Yes,
Ville de
we will
Dieppe
have
avec ce
initiative
grand
also with
meeting en
City of Dieppe. We
nettoyage.
will announce in the next few days. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be the
Merci
day
beaucoup.
after. Thank you very much.
Bonne soirée.
Good evening.
Merci.
Thank you.
Monsieur Brideau, il avait
Monsieur
oublié quelque
Brideau
chose.
forgot something.
Oh, une seconde, je vais
I forgot your worship. I will take the challenge that Mrs. Boudreau threw at us last week. I invite all the councillors, if we can organize it, that we should join the group of citizens of the city and clean our city. We know that there are garbage everywhere in the ditches along the fences. So
ton projet est très bien.
your project is
Ramasser
very, very good.
des sacs
Don't forget
marins
to
noirs,
pick up small bags of
et bleus. Oui.
blue bags.
OK, merci,
Thank you,
Madame Leboutier.
Mr.
Merci,
Leboutillier.
Monsieur le maire.
Yes, thank you,
Trois
worship.
points. Le
The
premier,
three.
c'est
The
qu'est-ce qu'on
first
fait
one
chez
is
Dieppe? On met
for
un
the Dieppe
expo, on a parlé
market.
peut-être
Where are
de
we at? We
l'expansion
said there would be an
de
exhibition there.
service.
Where are we at with that
Monsieur
project?
Melançon, actuellement,
Monsieur
Madame
Masson,
la Présidente,
presently,
on est en train de faire
Madame
les
Councillor,
rôles
we
qui
are
doivent être développés
doing
par
the
le
elements
projet.
of what should be part of the
On a
projects.
réservé un
So
consultant
we've
pour travailler avec
retained
les intervenants,
the help
faire
of a
l'exercice avec
consultant
les marchands, etc.
who is in
C'est un
consultation,
exercice qui est
does the
lourd
exercise.
pour les mois qui
The
s'en viennent. Alors, c'est ça l'état qu'on est.
that is the step we're at. Thank you very much. And we expect.
J'aimerais
C'est
bien
quoi les
donner une
délais?
date, mais celui-là,
What's the delay?
on est aussi au dépend de un peu du
Well,
marché de Dieppe,
we're
dépend
at
des
the expense of
ont
la
autorisé
Récolte
à
de
ce que ça
Chino
soit
and the Dieppe market. So,
Moi, j'aimerais
well,
commencer par
I
féliciter
would like to
l'Université de la
congratulate
Maison
our
qui
house
qui
team
est notre
from Dieppe
qui habite à l'Uniplex, les
who
élèves
lives in
d'Otac qui ont gagné le
Uniplex,
championnat canadien
who
et
won the
qui
Canadian
ont réussi
Championship. Well, they
à la
succeeded
demi-finale.
in reaching the semifinals, fourth
Et
position,
c'est
and
vraiment
which is
une chose
really,
qui est
for me,
extraordinaire.
it's
Mais
fantastic.
on a
But
trois des
we
six
have
prix parce qu'on a
three of
amené
the
un
six
enfant qui est de Dieppe,
prizes in the
qui est
Alangata
fantastique.
national team. It's all over the country, by the way.
Jasmine Leblanc
That's
Dessier,
Jasmine
qui est
Leblanc
la
from Dieppe,
gardienne de l'année. Bravo
who
Jasmine.
is the
Dans son équipe,
uh,
il y a
goalie of the year,
Jenny Snowden, qui est
Jenny
l'athlète par
Snowden,
excellence,
who was the athlete by
membre de
excellence
l'UTAC.
and a
Il
member
y a
of
Whitney
the
Snowden, qui est la
Whitney Snowden,
marqueuse de l'année par
who
excellence.
was the scorer of the year.
L'équipe, encore une fois,
So once
a
again, the
remporté
team
50% des prix.
won 50% of the awards.
L'année
So
prochaine,
next
venez
year,
voir, c'est vraiment de la belle
come
hockey.
and see.
J'ai
It's
été
beautiful, and I get
féliciter
a good
à ce
team
niveau.
that will continue
Aussi, ben, j'aimerais
to go far. And I would
féliciter
like to congratulate
les garçons.
especially the
Donc,
team of
beaucoup
16.
de nos athlètes
That
proviennent de
many of
Dieppe,
our
de
athletes
nos
come
coachs
from Dieppe
et de nos entraîneurs.
and
Aussi,
our
j'aimerais,
trainers.
je
And
ne vais
on
pas pouvoir
that,
vous répondre en 4 minutes, mais
I will take
j'aimerais
my
vous
four
dire ce
minutes,
que
but
je
I
veux
would
parce
like
que c'est
to
vraiment intéressant.
back up because it's
On a
quite
une évolution
interesting.
qui
We
s'en
have
vient.
an evolution, and it's
Puis
interesting
l'ouverture.
to see
Si moi
because by
j'avais
the opening, if
commencé
I
dans ce
back up
club-là
and I was a
5 6 ans passés,
trainer of that
l'équipe
team
effective féminine,
5, 6 years
on avait une
ago,
politique en
the
place.
feminine team, we had a policy in
Évidemment, moi, je
place.
présidais dans ce temps-là.
Well, I was
C'était
presiding, and I get
difficile.
the time it was difficult to have
Difficile
ice. It was not
d'avoir
difficult. It was impossible to have
pour se
local
déplacer
ice. We had to
à Bécomo,
move
Bécomo,
around.
Trois-Rivières,
We would
Hillsborough.
go
Aussi,
somewhere else,
si on avait
Hillsborough,
été
because we
associé
had a possibility
avec
first in,
l'UQAP,
the first
qui,
to
nous,
arrive,
c'est
and
correct,
we in the
on
app, it's
n'avait pas
okay
d'ice.
because we were limited. We had no ice
Mais
anyway.
maintenant, ben, avec
And
l'arrivée
now, well, with
ces
the
garçons
arrival
et
of
les
this
jeunes
group
de bois
and
qui
the young
forment
people,
maintenant ces bouts de bois,
Now it's nice to see that they are able to practice and practice on the road with Uniplex. Congratulations to the city for the opening. And now they are certified as they were not before. They can benefit from reasonable rates. And afterwards, you don't have to move. When practice, you see, it makes a difference on the long term. And the gymnasium also was greatly appreciated. That's it. Thank you very much. And good evening, everybody. Thank you. Wow. To conclude, I want to mention that the Francophone girls tournament that is held here on a yearly basis. The team from Dieppe went in semifinals. If they didn't win, they would have gone to finals. And yeah, they didn't win.
Il nous
Really.
manquait un bar dessinateur, monsieur le maire.
Ceci étant, c'est pour ça que j'ai accroché mes patins. Il faut quand même les
Sorry.
féliciter de ça
We have to
donne rien.
congratulate them for having made it
1000
that.
dollars
Well, it means $1,000 prize that
donné pour
is
l'organisme
given to pro
de
youth
jeunesse que nous sommes en
that
nombre de
we are
100.
supporting greatly.
Et
Thank
personnellement,
you
ça m'a
to
impliqué
all the
vraiment
people who
dans
are
ce
involved
projet-là. Puis je sais
in
qu'ils
that
vont
projects,
réussir
and
dans
we
le
have
sens.
two here in the
Puis un
room,
troisième peut-être qui
and
va
a
venir
third
aussi.
one maybe who's playing also.
Alors,
And
merci à vous
well,
tous.
thank you to
J'ai
all of
besoin
you.
d'une
I
petite
would be
souris ici.
remiss
On
not
va
to
peut-être afficher la
mention that
première
maybe
bannière
we will hang our first
à l'Uniplex
banner at
des
Uniplex with our youth
majors
from
qui
the
ont
major
gagné le
bantam
championnat
team
provincial
that won the provincial
face à
championship
nos
yesterday
voisins
by
de Moncton.
defeating our neighbors from
Alors,
Moncton.
félicitations à
Excuse
ce
me,
groupe de
congratulations
jeunes et
to
on va
that team of young people and their parents.
on a bien hâte
And we
de voir
can't
cette
wait
bannière-là
to see
en
that
première
banner,
bannière
our first
à
one
l'Uniplex.
at the Uniplex.
Merci à tous.
So thank you to one
Merci
and
à
all.
tous pour une
Thank you
excellente
to
soirée.
everyone for an
Au revoir
excellent evening
et
once
à la
again,
prochaine.
and see you next time. Good night.
Bonne soirée.